My motivation in fighting for Britney's freedom is doing what I can to help a woman who helped shape me into the woman I am today. I don't think I would be who I am without Britney. I watched her throughout the years be ridiculed and essentially bullied within the media, and she could never do anything right in the media's eyes. But throughout it all, she always maintained a sense of authenticity.
Hello. Ew, strong Britney.
She was always unapologetically Britney. And I watched that as a loner kid growing up who wasn't sure of her place in the world and felt like she didn't fit in. And to see this woman who, you know, at the time I'm a child, she's a young woman, she was like that big sister influence, the big sister I never had. And I believe that Britney's heart is pure and she is just a wonderful human. And I think that she, given the chance, would fight for a cause she believes in. And that's why I'm here. I believe strongly in this cause. I stand up for what I believe in.
We are doing everything that we possibly can with everything that we've got to get you out of where you are now. And we won't stop until you're free.
It's our finest hour. We can do anything, oh anything. Keep believing in that
Hi, my name's Britney Spears. I called you earlier, and I'm calling again because I just wanted to make sure you're in the process of ending the conservatorship.
What do we want? When do we want it?
Hi there. I cannot disclose who I am.
Fans think that Britney is trying to show them signs in her TikToks and Instagram videos that she's in trouble.
And what is happening is disturbing, to say the least.
Britney Spears has been admitted to a mental health facility.
Britney Spears' dad, Jamie, is under investigation after her ex, Kevin Federline, accused him of abusing their son.
This is a special emergency episode.
What is happening is disturbing, to say the least.
2019 was the year Britney Spears' life drastically changed. Britney's father, Jamie Spears, still had an active restraining order and could not legally interact with Britney's children. He had temporarily stepped down as personal conservator due to the allegations, but still remained sole conservator of her $59 million estate. But unfortunately, due to everything that happened in 2019, Britney now only had 30% custody of her children. At that point, throughout the 12 years that Britney had been in a conservatorship, the custody of Britney's children have been held over her head by legal professionals, and even her own father. They were the reason she worked so hard, and even though she was doing everything right, she still lost a large percentage of custody over her children. Britney had made it clear being a mother was a priority to her, so much so that US Weekly, who appeared to have a source close to Britney, reported in May of 2020 that in late 2019, Britney told Sam Ingham, her court-appointed attorney, that she wanted to get married and have a baby with Sam Asghari.
I have girls and I'm very jealous because you have boys.
Oh, I want a girl.
Oh, you do want a girl, so later on, maybe a little girl.
I didn't know you had kids.
They're 2.
Congratulations.
5 and they're lovely.
That's such a good age, 5 and 2.
Oh my
you
God.
Said?
Yeah, well she's
so
nearly 2.
jealous.
She'll be 2 soon.
Oh my goodness.
What are yours, 9 and
9 and
10,
10, but
right?
not babies anymore. Jaden likes to play the piano a lot, and they love to listen to music, but their whole passion is video games.
Well,
so
that's not really. That's everyone's passion.
Yeah.
You know.
I want more.
Do you want to have more kids?
Yeah, I would
How
like
many more?
Like 3 more.
3 more?
You're gonna go straight up 5.
I have to find the right guy first, and then, you know.
Tell him that he's about to become the father of 3 children.
All that she wants is another baby.
As we know, under the conservatorship, Britney would need approval from her father to get married. And according to US Weekly, Jamie Spears has always been opposed to Britney having another child and getting married, as it would create complicated legal troubles for the conservatorship. At this point, it was more clear than ever. Britney's personal life was no more than a hybrid business model for her team, and Britney was done being the cash cow for her father and the conservatorship. Whether she followed their rules or did what they told her to do was irrelevant at this point. No matter what she did, the percentage of custody she had kept dwindling due to her father's actions, and she had had enough. Britney would begin setting boundaries in the only way she could, by refusing to work. The Free Britney movement had exploded, and the legal battle for Britney's freedom was about to begin. Team conservatorship had gotten away with so much in 12 years, right under the public's nose, using the probate court system as a shield for their wrongdoings. But the world is entirely different than it was in 2008, as this time Britney's advocates and supporters were not going down without a fight. On January 22nd, 2020, Britney had a hearing for her conservatorship that was completely sealed to the public. No one knows what happened at this hearing, as supporters were asked to leave the courtroom, but a new hearing would be set for April. Unfortunately, during this time, the state of the world would change for the worse, and that hearing would be pushed back again, this time to July 2020.
I do think, just based on, the different pieces of information I've been able to put together, that Britney was gearing up to fight this conservatorship before the pandemic sort of ravaged the world. I think that is really putting an administrative, hold on what she's able to do.
As Britney's July hearing approached, the Free Britney movement was heating up even more. Article after article on Britney and her conservatorship were coming out, and the movement was doing everything possible to help restore Britney's freedoms and basic human rights. The movement started 7 days, 7 actions. This included 7 actions people could take to help Britney, including signing a White House petition that ended up getting over 100,000 signatures. This started to garner a lot of media attention right before Britney's hearing. Also around this time, Britney's mother, Lynn, filed another special notice so she could be notified on everything going on with Britney's revocable trust. This trust had held a lot of Britney's assets when she was first put into the conservatorship back in 2008. It was reported that Britney asked Lynn to be more involved in the financial aspect of the conservatorship to help her regain more financial autonomy. The movement may have been going back and forth with Britney's team, but the media back and forth was just getting started. On July 16th, 2020, days before Britney's hearing, TMZ released an article in defense of the conservatorship and how she is not being held against her will, reducing the Free Britney movement to only TikTok conspiracy theories, saying people went nuts online again, suggesting her conservatorship, led by Britney's dad Jamie, was holding her against her will. The article even going as far as to diagnose Britney, saying according to sources, she's struggling and her stopped working, saying Kevin has more custody over her children because of Britney's, quote, mental state, and that because of Britney's, quote, mental illness, she will require this conservatorship, quote, probably for life. Ending the article with a quote from one of their sources who said the Free Britney movement would be silent if Britney's conservatorship ended, and something unthinkable happened 2 weeks later. TMZ made it very clear that this quote was from someone very close to Britney. This is a huge red flag, as according to TMZ, people very close to Britney speak like this to major media outlets. Now, it's important to remember that Britney was put under conservatorship in 2008 without receiving due process, and that Jamie's reasoning for putting her under conservatorship in the first place, as marked on the original conservatorship documents from 2008, were that she had dementia at just 26 years old. Despite being able to tour the world world multiple times, film hours of content, and release multiple albums. Not to mention that just a week before the 7:30 evaluation on Britney's conservatorship was meant to be revealed, the doctor passed away before the results could be given. If Britney was truly incapable of handling these day-to-day tasks on her own, why were they still pushing Britney to work at this time? Britney was allowed to strap into a harness, throw herself off a tree in front of thousands of people multiple times a week, but wasn't allowed to drive her own car. She was allowed to judge other people's singing careers, eliminating them and sending them to next rounds on the X Factor on nationally syndicated television, but wasn't allowed to use her own cell phone unmonitored. But most puzzling, how did TMZ obtain documents multiple times before they were available to the public? Why Britney was allowed to work and how they got these documents will forever remain a mystery. However, regardless of that, TMZ has been relentlessly reporting on Britney Spears for over 16 years. They would send paparazzi to harass Britney no matter where she went or what she was doing. Even in her lowest moments, paparazzi were capturing every second.
Oh, one more time.
Stay, guys.
Get over, guys. Jesus, big up. Guys.
Britney, you have a good time with the kids?
Not in the store.
What do you think it'll take to get the paparazzi to leave you alone?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sitting for once and having a nice time with my dog.
That's it?
Is that one of your biggest wishes?
Yeah. It's okay. I would like for them to leave me alone. You have to realize that we're people and that we just need privacy and we need our respect. And those are things that you have to have as a human.
And TMZ would continuously use whatever footage they could to fit the narrative they were trying to paint for Britney's life. This really started to rev up in 2007 as Britney was being documented nearly every day by TMZ and X17 photographers. TMZ has been crafting a story about Britney for over 16 years, but that story couldn't be further from the truth. Britney even voiced her disdain for the publication, stating that she preferred X17.
Are you TMZ?
No, we are X17. I know you don't.
I like X17.
You told me yesterday.
After Britney was falsely put under conservatorship, TMZ would take Jamie's side, consistently getting information from Jamie's camp, seemingly clearing him of any wrongdoing. Anytime Jamie was criticized in the media, TMZ seemingly defended him.
After the Free Britney movement blew up in April 2019, I started to pay attention to the reports that TMZ was putting out about Britney. Especially because none of the mainstream media was reporting on Free Britney. The only news outlets that were even mentioning, the conservatorship or the movement were outlets like TMZ. So that's when I started paying attention. I noticed that a lot of them were stories that were benefiting Team Khan, not really advocating for Britney's freedom or not even accurately representing the movement. So there were stories about how the Free Britney movement were conspiracy theorists who, believed that Britney was locked up against her will when, that is an exaggeration at best.
If you look at the timeliness of TMZ articles, related to actions taken by Britney's handlers, including her father. The tone that they take, it's very obvious whose side they're on in all of this. They're never really giving Britney the benefit of the doubt. Although it's been 13 years since she was placed under this conservatorship, they're saying the same dangerous things and implying that without this conservatorship, she won't be okay. She needs this, forevermore, or else she could die without it. That's disgusting. It's very obvious that they're furthering this narrative that the only way for Britney Spears to be a functional human is under this conservatorship that has stripped every single one of her constitutional rights, and that's blasphemy.
So today, July 22nd, 2020, was Britney's scheduled hearing. She was scheduled to show today. Because of COVID, it was all being done via video cameras. They were able to get a hold of Britney's father and then Lynn Spears. Allegedly, people who were witness to this said that Lynn was visibly and audibly upset. They also tried to get a hold of Britney, and she had connective issues. She doesn't seem to ever have a problem using her internet via Instagram, which we already know she doesn't use her own Instagram. If we're going to pretend that she does, why is she able to conveniently post on Instagram while all this was going on? So I think what was happening was Team Britney was trying to avoid Britney herself speaking on behalf of herself, but because of the connecting issues, the judge did not want to proceed.
The hearing may have been rescheduled, however, July 22nd would end up being a major day for the Free Britney movement, as Brian Spears, Britney's brother, would break his silence on the conservatorship in a podcast called As Not Seen on TV.
Interesting day for the Spears family, right? What's happening? Tell me about it.
Well, down here, not much, but yeah, I hear there's a couple of hearings, I guess, going on right now. Not sure what, the details and all that's going to be, but we all hope for the best.
He vindicated multiple things that Britney's supporters had suspected for years.
I know how much she loves to sing and dance.
The legendary Miss Britney Spears.
That's all she knows how to do.
The undisputed princess of pop, Britney Spears.
So if she doesn't do that, she's not doing what she, was, born to do. I'd have to say after, I think I did 6 world tours with her before I retired. And about there was times throughout each one of them where everybody's, exhausted. After the circus one in 2009, I felt like, we need to take a step back now.
He described the conservatorship as the, quote, family business, and that they would often vote on matters related to Britney.
We didn't have anyone that was actually overseeing the actual financial business development for Brit. We had managers, we had business managers, but no one was like looking what the left hand's doing and looking what the right hand's. There was no top cop, basically, looking out for her best interest. We, as a family, as we always do, vote and kind of like come up with a family decision. And they, we all thought that would be a good idea for me to kind of oversee all of it. And obviously I'm not getting in the details of what the manager does or getting in the details of what booking agent does, but overseeing all aspects and making sure like money's being put away, new businesses being formed, brands are being formed.
According to Brian, the Spears family was a democracy, but the only person these decisions affected, Britney, had little say when it came to controlling her own life and career. He even went as far as to say the conservatorship has been very positive for the Spears family.
California does a great job because it's held in the probate court, where someone who's incapacitated or feel like they're a danger to themselves, the state comes in and they award basically a team of people to, oversee them and kind of run their lives to make them, put them on the right path. Kind of thing we kind of got caught by surprise.
Lou Taylor is the business manager for Britney Spears' father, mother, and younger sister, Jamie Lynn.
Britney was taken out of her home on a gurney.
In the end, it's been a great thing for our family.
Despite later saying Britney has only ever wanted to get out of it.
Was it initiated by someone in the family, the request for it, or was it by outside
I
officials?
don't really know, actually. I don't really know how that went down.
Okay.
Britney's parents have not spoken out publicly about her recent problems.
How does Britney feel about it?
I would really hope that all those who seek God for strength in their life would be interceding for this family, because Jamie Spears, Lynn Spears, Jamie Lynn Spears, Brian are all amazing people.
And you must have asked her at some point, even recently or over the last months or whatever, hey, Britt, we must have said, are you hoping this wraps up? What do you want? Right, you had to ask her about it.
I mean, she's always wanted to get out of it. It's it's very frustrating to have whether it's someone's coming in peace to help or they're coming in with an attitude, like having someone constantly tell you to do something, it's got to be frustrating.
This interview gave Britney's supporters one of the first inside looks at the inner workings of the conservatorship since For the Record. Brian even went on a rant when asked if Britney is held against her will.
Have you ever seen anything that led you to be concerned that your sister was being held against her will?
Every day. No, I'm joking. I mean, like, when the women in this family are very, very strong-minded and have their own opinion, and they want to do what they want to do. And as much as I admire that as a guy and being like one of two guys in this entire family, it kind of sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie.
But that might not be entirely new or progressive. I mean, saying, you know, the women, you know, they're strong-minded, they want to do what they want to do, kind of constitutional.
You know? I mean, yeah, and they have a right to do that.
Except she hasn't had a, quote, right to do that since 2008 when she was unconstitutionally put under a conservatorship. This interview caused the conservatorship to go into panic mode.
Now the conservatorship lawyers are not happy the family is going public, and Jamie is not too happy about this latest move and called the Free Britney movement a joke. He told Page 6, "All these conspiracy theorists don't know anything. The world don't have a clue. It's up to the Court of California to decide what's best for my daughter. It's no one else's business."
If Brian was put up to this by Jamie, the interview backfired on him and blew up across the internet. The Free Britney movement had their answers, and the battle would rage on.
This is when the court battle for Britney's autonomy really started to get heated. Sam Ingham, who has been Britney's court-appointed attorney for 12 years, appeared to start advocating for Britney all of a sudden. While Sam Ingham would go on to expose team conservatorship in ways that would validate the Free Britney movement, it cannot be forgotten that Sam Ingham is the one who told Judge Reva Goetz in 2008 that Britney lacked capacity to hire her own attorney, helping to strip Britney of her basic right to counsel. Due to Britney being forced to use Ingham over the last 12 years, he has made upwards of $3 million from her estate. For over a decade, Sam Ingham was complicit and financially benefiting from the conservatorship. The massive media coverage of the Free Britney movement and the conservatorship team unraveling may be a huge reason as to why Sam Ingham finally started to advocate for Britney 12 years later. On August 18th, the day before Britney's newly scheduled hearing, Sam Ingham filed a report with the court. By filing when he did, it prevented the document from getting sealed, and the public finally got some insight into what Britney herself is wanting.
Britney Spears is finally shedding a little light on her situation and the continuing conservatorship over her.
According to court documents obtained by E! News, Spears' lawyer revealed that the star wants Jody Montgomery, who is currently serving as the singer's temporary conservator, to remain in that position and not her father, Jamie Spears. Britney is strongly opposed to having James return as her conservator of her person, the documents state. Rather, she strongly prefers to have Ms. Montgomery continue that role, as has done for nearly a year.
What Sam Ingham stated in this filing was major. He confirmed that Britney was refusing to work until her father, Jamie Spears, was removed as conservator. The document stated that not only did she not want Jamie back as personal conservator, but per Ingham, Britney wanted to appoint a third-party corporate fiduciary as conservator of her estate. The filing said Britney's conservatorship must change substantially to reflect the major changes to her lifestyle and stated wishes. He even made sure to underline that although Britney wants to make these changes to her conservatorship, it does not waive her right to seek termination of the conservatorship. Sam Ingham concluded the filing stating that Jamie Spears will aggressively contest Britney trying to remove him, and due to this, Britney wanted to hire counsel with the expertise necessary for her case. The very next day, on the day of Britney's August 19th, 2020 hearing, Jamie Spears filed a petition with the courts to appoint Andrew Wallet as co-conservator of the estate again. Andrew Wallet had left in 2019, stating that if he stayed as co-conservator, it could cause irreparable harm and substantial detriment to the conservatorship. Jamie trying to bring Andrew Wallet back right after Britney stated she wanted a third-party corporate fiduciary to be conservator of her estate seemed like a last-ditch effort to maintain total control of Britney's assets. Jamie does not have the expertise like a corporate fiduciary who handles billions of dollars, and more importantly, Britney doesn't want Jamie in charge of her finances.
While no decisions were made at the August 19th hearing, a new hearing was set for September. But something happened that had never happened before.
Tess and I went in to the beginning of the hearing, and this was a lot different this time because usually they say, hey, let's seal the courtroom, and it gets sealed, everyone gets kicked out, right? This time, Sam Ingham stood up to Jamie's lawyers and said, like, look, you guys are the experts in sealing things. As Britney Spears' court-appointed advocate, I cannot condone clearing the courtroom. It's big, you guys. I mean, in a year and a half of being in this courtroom, I guess almost 2 years of going to these hearings, that's just never happened.
On August 31st, Sam Ingham moved forward with what he said are Britney's wishes, filing a petition to have Bessemer Trust appointed as conservator of Britney's estate. Bessemer Trust specializes in financial planning and manages $140 billion in assets. Sam Ingham stated in the court documents that the conservatorship was voluntary. And because it was a voluntary conservatorship, Britney should be able to choose her own conservator. However, the movement already knew the conservatorship had never been voluntary, as Britney had tried to get out from under the control of Team Conservatorship from the very beginning. Many believed the potential plan behind the scenes was to get rid of Jamie Spears first by replacing him with Bessemer Trust, thus making it easier to then file for termination of the conservatorship. However, it's unclear if Britney was involved at all in any strategy to end her conservatorship, as her wishes up to this point had only been expressed through Sam Ingham. And as we know, Sam Ingham financially benefits from the conservatorship staying in place, regardless of who the conservators are. Everyone was hopeful that this was just the necessary first step to Britney getting her life back, as the goal of the Free Britney movement is to free Britney completely, not just change who controls her.
Britney's court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, was her only voice to the public during this time. And for the first time, Sam would address the Free Britney movement's concerns directly through official court documents. This time, it wouldn't be her brother on a podcast or a cryptic Instagram caption they had to decipher, but from official court documents. In the past, many documents were sealed, and the public was completely in the dark. But according to Sam Ingham, Britney wanted to ensure the public had as much access as possible, right as the Free Britney movement was revving up. On September 2nd, 2020, Sam Ingham filed in favor of Britney's wish for the public to see the documents and filed in opposition to Jamie Spears' motion to seal the Andrew Wallet appointment. Jamie Spears and his attorneys have always filed motions to seal basically everything involving Britney's conservatorship with no opposition. However, this time, Sam Ingham wasn't just opposing their motion to seal, he was showing the public exactly where Britney stood when it came to the Free Britney movement. This filing was a big deal to the movement, as it was the first glimpse into how Britney really felt. Sam Ingham starts out stating the petition to appoint Andrew Wallet, a semi-retired attorney who abruptly quit in 2019, has nothing to do with Britney's medical or personal information, so there is no reason to seal. But it's in the conclusion of this filing where Ingham makes Britney's stance clear. Ingham said Britney's conservatorship has brought an unprecedented amount of scrutiny from mainstream media and social media alike, and stated, far from being a conspiracy theory or a quote joke, as Jamie Spears reportedly told the media.
This morning, Britney Spears' father Jamie speaking out against the viral campaign #FreeBritney. The pop star's dad telling the New York Post, page 6, in a new interview, all these conspiracy theorists don't know anything. It's up to the court of California to decide what's best for my daughter. No one else's business.
And that the scrutiny is predictable due to sealing meaningful public information. Britney's court-appointed attorney not only stated that this is far from a conspiracy theory, but also that Britney is strongly opposed to her father trying to keep her legal troubles hidden away as a family secret, and according to her brother Brian, a family business. But most important, and the biggest splash from this filing, was when Sam Ingham addressed the Free Britney movement directly, saying that Britney welcomes and appreciates the informed support of her many fans. This was the vindication so many had been waiting for. Ingham even used an article and Free Britney sign as exhibit for this filing. The Free Britney movement had been intentionally gaslit for the past year, but it was finally admitted in an official court document that the movement's support of Britney was not in vain.
Shortly after Sam Ingham filed his objection to seal the Andrew Wallet appointment, he filed the actual objection to appointing Andrew Wallet. This new filing gave us a glimpse into what was happening behind the scenes when Andrew Wallet quit as co-conservator back in 2019. We learned that around the time Britney was forced into the mental health facility, Sam Ingham was negotiating with Andrew Wallet on behalf of Britney to remove him. Andrew Wallet was essentially paid $100,000 from Britney's estate in order for him to voluntarily step down. Prior to stepping down, Andrew Wallet was granted a fee increase and was being paid $420,000 a year out of Britney's estate. Bringing Wallet back would only harm the conservatorship financially. Not only was he just paid a good amount of money to leave, but Britney isn't performing at the moment, so there is no reason to pay an underqualified, semi-retired attorney $420,000 a year to return. But more important than the fact that Andrew Wallet would harm Britney's estate financially, bringing Andrew back goes directly against Britney's expressed wishes. In the 11 years that Andrew Wallet was co-conservator of Britney's estate, he did not interact with Britney. He is essentially a stranger to her. And per Sam Ingham, Britney wants more autonomy. She doesn't want someone her father hand-picked to manage her money. She wants a team of financial professionals that she can actually sit down with and be included in the decision-making of her estate. Something that many fans started to notice was that Sam Ingham was using these filings to give us even more hidden information, as what Ingham had been filing has not been sealed away from the public eye. Within the objection to bringing back Andrew Wallet, Ingham used it as an opportunity to drop some about Lou Taylor and her company TriStar Sports. Sam Ingham stated that on December 20th, 2019, after Andrew Wallet stepped down, Jamie Spears modified the compensation for TriStar Sports to provide for a minimum annual fee of $500,000. Ingham stated that this amount represents more than double the amount TriStar had been receiving. Fans really started to question why Lou Taylor and TriStar Sports were increasing their management fees during a time where Britney decided to take a break and stop performing. In the exhibit of this court filing, Sam Ingham included the actual emails between Lou Taylor and Jamie Spears, where Lou says TriStar Sports was at a $400,000 loss on time and billing for Britney and wanted to set a floor at $500,000 a year. Jamie responds to this email showing just how clueless and confused he really is when it comes to managing the estate. Lou even said she still has to do work, unlike other professionals, even though Britney is not working. This is when we learn that Lou Taylor and her company are actually the ones who do the annual accounting that is submitted to the courts for the conservatorship. This just goes to show that Lou Taylor, someone Britney allegedly fears,
This lady, she told me, she said, Britney, go to the light.
Truly has her hands in every part of the conservatorship. As we know, Lou Taylor helped Jamie Spears plan to put Britney in the conservatorship in 2008.
Lynn made headlines in 2019 when she requested special notice for everything regarding Britney's conservatorship, which was put in motion by Jamie and business manager Lou M. Taylor.
Jamie and Lou were praying on the other end. They were coming from a different direction.
As soon as it was in place, Lou's company, TriStar Sports, joined her management team. Lou's good friend and employee, Robin Greenhill, has always been by Britney's side through all of her tours and the Vegas residency. Lou and her company make a percentage off of Britney's tours and various deals they negotiate for Britney the brand. Now the public finds out that Lou and TriStar Sports are responsible for the conservatorship accounting that we, the public, see and that is submitted to the courts. When you look at how deep into the conservatorship Lou Taylor has been, it is clear that she has benefited financially just as much, if not more, than Britney's own father. Sam Ingham's recent court filings really got under the skin of Team Conservatorship. All the information he made public only validated the Free Britney movement more and more. So, Team Conservatorship decided to fire back by speaking with TMZ, per usual, stating that Ingham was being misleading. They even took it a step further in what appears to be retaliation against Sam Ingham. The payments that he has always received weekly for 12 years just abruptly stopped. TriStar Sports, who was responsible for issuing the payments, had issued hundreds of payments to Ingham for years with no problem. But after Sam Ingham dropped some about TriStar Sports and Lou Taylor, it seems like TriStar Sports mysteriously lost the court order that outlines his fees. It is now September 16th, the hearing where it would be decided if Andrew Wallet would be coming back. But with all of the back and forth court filings on who should be conservator of Britney's estate, the judge pushes back any major decisions to a new hearing on November 10th. Lynn's attorneys were at this hearing and they informed the judge it wasn't a coincidence that Sam Ingham stopped getting paid. He continued by saying he needed Sam to work aggressively through the many issues with the conservatorship. Thus, Judge Brenda Penny informed Jamie's lawyers that they need to pay Sam Ingham immediately. Right after the hearing, Sam Ingham filed a petition to bring on 4 attorneys from Loeb & Loeb to act under his direction as litigation counsel. A hearing was set for October 14th to decide if Britney would finally be able to retain her own counsel. Just 2 weeks later, on October 2nd, Jamie Spears withdrew his request to have Andrew Wallet reappointed as co-conservator of Britney's estate. Jamie Spears said he wanted to avoid expensive litigation that would drain Britney's estate and would like to work as co-conservator with Bessemer Trust. Jamie and his team must have known Andrew was never going to be reappointed, so the next best step to ensure Jamie still had some control is to agree to being co-conservator with Bessemer Trust.
Invariably, when litigation erupts, then we go into court, and courts are going to lean toward automatically appointing a neutral corporate or professional fiduciary.
How often does that scenario play out?
That scenario happens all the time.
Jamie Spears also said he is opposed to the court approving Britney hiring on Loeb & Loeb due to the substantial expense that would be incurred. Jamie Spears has paid millions out of Britney's estate to his own attorneys to fight against Britney's right to her own life and money. It would appear Jamie Spears only cares about the expenses coming out of the estate if it is Britney using her own money to hire her own attorneys to fight for her basic human rights.
Last month, Britney's father, Jamie, filed court documents calling for his daughter's former estate manager, Andrew Wallet, to return as co-conservator. But now, Jamie Spears has reversed course. Britney's attorney has also been opposed to Wallet's return, calling him uniquely unsuitable for the position. But Wallet's not going quietly, reportedly dropping some major bombshells to DailyMail.com. What did he have to say?
Andrew Wallet reportedly said that the 38-year-old pop icon may have a conservatorship in place for the rest of her life.
That news is a devastating blow to fans and friends who have been rallying to free Britney from her 12-year-long conservatorship. What did he have to say about the Free Britney movement?
Mr. Wallet also purportedly said that these social media movements are really complicating her legal case, and that there are people lurking in the shadows that are trying to come up with these really unfounded conspiracy theories.
Wallet was quoted as saying, quote, "The conservatorship has to stay in place because she is susceptible to undue influences."
It's very unusual for an independent adult who makes the kind of money that she makes to have a conservator over her daily activity.
Andrew Wallet wasn't the only person speaking with the media this week. Sources close to Jamie Spears told Us Weekly that Jamie Spears is concerned that Britney is being given too much freedom to make her own medical decisions by Jody Montgomery. When Jamie Spears stepped down and appointed Jody Montgomery, he wanted to make sure she had just as much control over Britney as he did. We know that even under Jody Montgomery's care, Britney still has almost no freedoms. This just proves that if Britney is given even the smallest amount of autonomy, he will try to push a narrative that Britney is unstable and he is just a concerned father.
Mr. Spears, how are you, sir? How are you holding up? Mr. Spears, how are you doing? A lot of people are saying that she could be under conservatorship for the rest of her life. How is Britney doing? We know you have her best interest at heart. How is she holding up, sir? Do you speak to your daughter at all, sir? How is she doing? At what point did you step down as a conservator, sir? Is there anything? Do you have anything to say about being labeled a bad guy in all of this? Mr. Spears, anything at all? What do you think about the Free Britney movement? Do they have a fair argument? You know, maybe as a father, Mr. Spears, anything? Or her fans really want to know from you. You know, we haven't heard from you at all. Is there anything? Her own lawyer says that she's like a comatose patient.
Britney Spears is burning through her fortune as she fights her father in court. And now the singer's thinking about beefing up her legal team, get this, to the tune of nearly $1,000 an hour in legal fees. Could this battle over conservatorship break Britney both financially and emotionally? Britney was upbeat on Instagram, but a no-show for today's virtual hearing.
Okay, so yesterday I felt like it was the beginning of fall. I pulled out all of my jackets, and then the next day it was really hot. It was very confusing. Anyhow, this summer has been so much fun for me. I learned so much, I laughed so much, I swam so much, but the most important thing that I did learn was that life has so many spontaneous gifts at each moment. Sometimes we need to learn to slow down and learn how to embrace them all. Anyways, I hope your summer was as good as mine, and God bless you all.
This is continuing to play out, and it's getting ugly, messy.
But it says a lot that the judge is going along with her father. And I never believed that her father had any bad intention with Britney. And I don't know what Lynn is talking about. I know that Britney gets along very well with her sister. And we follow Britney on social media. And I think Britney still needs to get well.
All focused on her $57 million estate. Keep in mind, Britt says she doesn't want to work. Her bank account is bleeding. They've spent $1.2 million on trustee and legal fees, and this morning, the judge ruled she can hire more attorneys. Their rate, almost $1,000 an hour.
I don't know if a compromise is necessary at this point. What I will say is this: courts, they never go from 0 to 60, and they operate in what I call dog years, meaning she's going to be in court tomorrow, and it could be another 6 months until she's in court again. The court thinks 6 months is a short period of time, but it's not.
This was it. Britney was finally able to retain her own counsel after a seemingly hopeless 12-year battle to defend her own constitutional rights. This was another step towards freedom. And at the time, it gave the Free Britney movement hope that maybe soon Britney could finally be free from this conservatorship. During the hearing to approve Loeb and Loeb, Sam Ingham said Jamie's team was so threatened by the prospect of Loeb and Loeb that the petition to appoint Andrew Wallet just vanished. Ingham stated that with the help of Loeb and Loeb, he plans to focus on issues with the way the conservatorship accounting is reported. This transparency seemed promising, as if Lou Taylor's various defamation lawsuits were any measure to go by, Britney's money was being used to pay attorneys to actively fight against her. Jamie's attorneys mentioned that for the last almost 13 years, their relationship with Ingham was working well, and they didn't see the need to change that up now, clearly grasping at straws to avoid any sort of transparency with the accounting. Jamie's attorney, Gerald Cohen, even said she is very sad for Britney that her money is being spent on litigation, even though Gerald Cohen herself has been collecting from Britney's estate for almost 13 years. This court battle had been playing out for over a decade, and Britney was funding every side of the argument. These attorneys were slowly draining Britney's fortune under the guise of holding her best interests. In Sam Ingham's objection, he drew attention to Lou Taylor's frequent use of the legal system to scare fans and supporters from questioning, investigating, or discussing her, alleging to the entire world that Lou Taylor had been paying for these lawsuits and cease and desist letters directly out of Britney's pocket. Anyone who dared say anything about Lou, whether it related to Britney Spears or not, was at risk of litigation with Lou Taylor. For instance, in December 2020, Jordan Miller, creator of Breathe Heavy, a Britney fan site, released an apology video describing his interactions with Lou Taylor over a situation involving Courtney Love, where Lou Taylor allegedly threatened legal action against Variety, Page 6, and Jordan Miller for what she deemed as defamation.
So earlier this week, Breathe Heavy posted a story that first originated on Page 6, and it detailed Courtney Love's alleged experience with Lou Taylor. Courtney Love was almost placed in a conservatorship by the same people who put Britney Spears in one, and she says it nearly killed her. A user on Instagram asked Courtney Love, "Is it true that Lou Taylor, who planned the conservatorship for Britney with her father, wanted to put you in a conservatorship too?" Courtney replied, "Short answer is yes, Lou did try for a mutated strain of a conservatorship. She and the Gerald, a lawyer that represents Britney Spears, made an attempt to control Kurt's name and likeness and all Nirvana songs, 96%. Then sell the publishing, by which time I'd be in a conservatorship, or more likely, dead. I was successful at blocking only Lou. That's just because I chant a lot, which makes me lucky, but not her buddies. I just looked at Britney's account. There's no point in sticking my neck out for her now. Her pack of wolves almost killed me and my only child." So those 4 things that I mentioned, straight up Ms. Taylor wants to refute, and she wants people to know that they are defamatory and false. They continue, true facts are as follows. 1. Lou Taylor and TriStar never represented Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain, their daughter, or any entity affiliated with them. Lou Taylor and TriStar also never even had a single conversation or communication whatsoever relating to a possible conservatorship for Courtney Love. They also have never even spoken to or communicated with Courtney Love ever. 2. Lou Taylor and TriStar also had nothing to do with the planning or creation of the conservatorship for Britney Spears. They were hired to be Ms. Spears' financial manager a year after the conservatorship had already been put in place. They end this demand letter by saying that I have 24 hours to comply, or that they will, quote, have no alternative but to consider instituting immediate legal proceedings against you. Should that occur, they would pursue all available causes of action and seek all available legal remedies to the maximum extent permitted by law. Now that we have the details out of the way, I will take this opportunity to apologize. I am genuinely sorry, Ms. Taylor, for having the story featured on Breathe Heavy. I am sorry in the sense that it caused anyone pain. And I'm not being facetious here, so I genuinely apologize if your feelings were hurt based off of these allegations or these claims that Courtney Love made. The reason why I'm deciding to make this versus fighting for what I actually believe in is because I want to continue to keep things moving, and I want to stay focused on the bigger picture, which is Britney Spears' autonomy, which has been stripped from her for the last 13 years.
Variety and Page Six's articles were completely wiped from the internet, but Jordan's videos are still live. Yes, videos, because this happened twice. While it's highly unlikely that Britney's money paid for these cease and desist letters against Jordan Miller, Britney's court-appointed attorney did directly acknowledge Brian Kuchar's lawsuit that we dived into in episode 5. Sam Ingham accused Lou of directly using Britney's money to pay to silence a supporter who just wanted to help Britney Spears be free from her conservatorship and expose the corruption that has been present within it from the start. In the midst of this battle over who will be conservator and Sam Ingham wanting to object to the conservatorship accounting that is prepared by TriStar Sports, Lou Taylor abruptly quit as Britney's business manager after almost 13 years. Lou conveniently quit just days before Sam Ingham opposed the 260% fee increase TriStar Sports received in 2019. The second Lou couldn't scrape millions off the top of Britney's fortune, she vanished. A chapter that started all the way back in 2007 with a pink hat, a few emails, and a trip to Louisiana could now only be reduced to the amount of damage it caused. That 12-year chapter ended in an instant. Even though remnants of Lou Taylor can be found scattered throughout Britney's different businesses, she seemed to have left the picture. Jamie Spears may have abused Britney for 12 years at this point, but Lou Taylor was always lurking in the shadows. According to Lynn Spears' book, the true mastermind of the conservatorship disappeared, and the Free Britney movement celebrated accordingly. At this point, the conservatorship team had almost completely unraveled, Jamie Spears starting to act quick to maintain control of his daughter's fortune, as he no longer had Lou Taylor to fall back on. He hired on 2 more attorneys, one of those attorneys being Vivian Thoreen, who had worked on the conservatorship for many years previously. He requested that the judge approve him to pay these new attorneys out of Britney's estate, and just like clockwork, the California probate courts obliged. Not only did Jamie Spears hire back attorneys, but he tried to hire Michael Kaplan, a new business manager, to replace Lou Taylor without even consulting Britney. Jamie Spears wanted this new business manager to handle the accounting for the conservatorship, just like Lou Taylor did for so long. Britney's court-appointed attorney, Samuel Ingham, responded to these new moves by Jamie, saying it is a blatant attempt by Britney's father to retain full control of Britney's assets, books, and records in the face of Britney's objections. Sam Ingham stated that creating a working relationship between Britney, Jamie Spears, and Bessemer Trust is doomed to fail, which is why Bessemer Trust needs to be a sole conservator of the estate, further stating that if Jamie Spears is not suspended immediately after Bessemer Trust is appointed, Britney's estate will suffer loss and injury. Jamie objected to Bessemer Trust acting as sole conservator of Britney's estate, attributing himself to saving Britney's career and bringing her estate to the worth of $60 million. The fact that Britney's estate has only increased $20 million in 13 years is a testament to how the conservatorship has failed immensely at protecting Britney's money. Britney had worked non-stop since she was conserved. Between her albums, world tours, Vegas residencies, and brand deals, she has made hundreds of millions of dollars. Jamie Spears fighting so hard to make sure someone he handpicks handles the conservatorship accounting is just another aspect of Jamie Spears sinking his claws as deep into Britney's life as possible, trying to remain in full control over her. Why was Jamie putting in so much effort to hide this accounting? It caused the movement to question even further, what is the conservatorship hiding? The November 10th hearing on whether Bessemer Trust would be appointed as conservator, something Sam Ingham said Britney wanted, came, and the question on everyone's mind was, is Bessemer Trust going to replace Britney's father as conservator over her estate? Are the courts finally going to listen to Britney and remove Jamie Spears altogether? The media was buzzing over this question, as it looked like Jamie's days as Britney's torturer were numbered. Supporters and media crowded outside the courthouse and around the world, championing Britney's freedom, and the news they got confused the media, to say the least. Jamie wasn't removed, but Judge Brenda Penny did rule that Bessemer Trust would be appointed as co-conservator, despite Britney informing the judge in 2019 how her father had abused her by forcing her into a mental health facility. Despite Britney not wanting her father, someone she has stated multiple times she fears, involved in her conservatorship, and despite Britney stating she will not work as long as her father is involved in her conservatorship, Judge Brenda Penny still ruled that Jamie Spears would be involved, acting as co-conservator with Bessemer Trust over Britney's estate.
This is what Britney Spears' attorney is saying. He says, my client has informed me that she is afraid of her father and that she will not perform again if her father is in charge of her career. It gets more complicated. Britney's mom, Lynn, she was in court too. She does not want her ex-husband as the conservator anymore. And let me tell you what she said. Through her attorney, the attorney said that the father allegedly said that Britney is like a racehorse and that she should be handled like one.
So is it the belief that this is something her lawyer's saying and that it's not coming from Britney herself?
Jamie loves his daughter, and like any other family, issues come up from time to time. Britney knows that her daddy loves her, and she knows that she can call on him anytime, conservatorship or not.
Vivian, it is difficult to understand then why Britney's lawyer actually took it a step further and said that Britney was scared of her father, scared of Jamie. Does Jamie have any idea why that statement would be made?
In the many conversations that Jamie and Britney had throughout 2020, Britney never said those things to Jamie. She never asked him to step aside.
If Britney, through her lawyer, though, is asking that Jamie, her father, not be a part of her conservatorship, why does Jamie then still insist on being her conservator?
Jamie serves as Britney's conservator because he loves her. He wants the best for Britney.
Lynn Spears also said that her ex, Jamie, said she also calls their relationship toxic, and she says that they need to start fresh. But keep in mind here, there's $60 million on the table here, and they're all fighting over money, and Britney's in the middle, and it's really sad to see these parents fighting. Is it for the benefit of their daughter, or is it over money?
As we've learned with Britney's life before, the media is always trying to turn whatever happens to her into a headline. And even though Jamie wasn't removed as conservator, Bessemer Trust was appointed as co-conservator. So according to Britney's court-appointed lawyer, this was a win for her. However, the media printed out a large campaign saying Britney lost the bid to remove her father as conservator, when in actuality, she won the bid to appoint Bessemer Trust as co-conservator. Some publications even did it twice. Once when Judge Penny made the ruling, and another time a couple months later when Sam Ingham finally finished the paperwork. While being true headlines, they were still incredibly misleading. This put a heavy weight around the Free Britney movement. For the past few years, they were rallying outside for show trial after show trial, and the next few months would be a dark time for the movement. It seemed as though Team Conservatorship was winning and being able to continue to conserve her. Yes, the media attention on the movement was astronomical. Despite that, the courts were still moving at such a slow pace, slowly draining Britney of every penny and the movement of every ounce of hope they had left. That is until 2021, when everything changed.
We have an exclusive first look now at the new documentary taking a deep look at the battle over Britney Spears' fortune.
Britney Spears has been a global star for decades now, but for the past 13 years, she's had no control over her own money.
Britney Spears' life, conservatorship, and relationship with her father are all being examined in a brand new documentary set to come out in 2 weeks.
She's fighting against her own father to regain control of it.
It's official. In an upcoming episode of The New York Times Presents, they are going to be examining our one and only pop queen, Miss Britney Spears.
The New York Times Presents Framing Britney Spears documentary would highly publicize the many atrocities committed against Britney during her career. Many of the past team members who worked with Britney had interviews in this documentary, including one person who said the first time she met Jamie Spears, he said Britney was going to buy him a boat.
The whole thing was just really kind of disgusting. I don't understand how Jamie Spears, of all people, was put in charge of her finances. This was a man who was never around.
But most notably, Vivian Thoreen, Jamie Spears' ex-attorney, was featured in this documentary. She is quoted saying, if there is a conservatorship proceeding and the proposed conservatee at some point consents, the conservatee can't wake up one morning and say, I don't need this, I don't want it, make it go away. A petition would have to be filed, a petition to terminate the conservatorship. And then there's got to be evidence or some demonstration that a conservatorship is not necessary. At that point in time, it's the conservatee who has the burden of saying, I don't need a conservatorship anymore, and here's why. This isn't the only flaw Vivian highlighted within the California probate court system. When asked if she's ever seen a conservatorship successfully terminated, she responded saying that, of the cases I've been involved in, I have not seen a conservatee who has successfully terminated a conservatorship. After this interview, a disclaimer appeared on the screen stating that Vivian Thoreen rejoined the conservatorship legal team representing Jamie Spears. Even after Vivian's quotes were used to illustrate a story of abuse in the New York Times documentary, Vivian still stated in the next court hearing after framing Britney Spears that Britney wanted her father as sole conservator of the estate, which would later turn out to be wildly inaccurate. Vivian rejoining the team was a big deal, as after this documentary aired, Teen Conservatorship wanted to push their narrative back out to try to discredit the New York Times. But who would be the one to get the message out? Jamie Spears was out of the question, as he'd already proven himself to be a loose cannon. So instead, Vivian Thoreen embarked on what is perhaps the strangest PR tour mankind has ever seen.
I understand that every story needs a villain. But people have it so wrong here. This is a story about a fiercely loving, dedicated, and loyal father who rescued his daughter from a life-threatening situation. People were harming her and they were exploiting her. Jamie saved Britney's life.
How did Jamie turn Britney's finances around so dramatically?
He has collaborated with her. When she is up for performing, she has performed.
Jamie said, either you take this or the show's off.
When she wants to record an album, she can record an album.
Britney did not follow Jamie's instructions, and so he was true to his word. He pulled the show.
My client has informed me that she is afraid of her father.
And when she wants to live her life the way she wants, like a normal person, he has collaborated with her to do that as well.
She will not perform again if her father is in charge of her career. Can you explain why Britney's lawyer is saying she doesn't want her dad in charge of her finances anymore, and she's actually saying, at least through her lawyer is saying that Britney says she won't perform anymore until her dad is no longer in charge of her? Why would that happen? Why would that statement be made?
Throughout 2020, Britney and her father had many conversations, and in fact, early on in the pandemic, they spent 2 weeks with other family members, hunkered down in Louisiana. Britney and Jamie went on long drives together. They played and worked in the family garden. And every night, Jamie cooked Southern comfort food that the family ate and enjoyed together. And in that time, Britney never expressed those words to her father. She's never asked him to step aside.
Britney knows
that she can contact her daddy anytime and that he will be there for her. Whether or not there's a conservatorship.
Jamie Spears' attorney would not comment on the documentary, but she said her client just wants the best for Britney.
But he misses her and he loves her, and nothing, not even the conservatorship, will change any of that.
Britney knows that her daddy loves her.
What do you make of the Free Britney movement?
I think we have to remember how this conservatorship was started and that Britney needed help, and that's why the conservatorship was put into place and why Jamie was appointed.
Has Jamie asked Britney, because Britney could put this all to an end right now if she just said, hey guys, everything's cool, I don't need to be freed, I'm living my life the way I want to live it, and I've got people around me who are guiding me. Why wouldn't she just put that out there on social media?
You'll have to ask Britney.
Jamie's team is obviously so scared by the buzz created by the documentary that they've sent Vivian Thoreen, one of his attorneys, on a press tour. And she is an attorney on an active case. Like, that should not be happening.
Vivian Thoreen is on an apology tour to make Jamie Spears appear as a better father and potentially conservator. The way she refers to Britney in a childlike sort of manner, I think it's obvious that a lot of people involved in this conservatorship see Britney as a child. They forget that she's a grown woman who's 39 years old, and while she needs love and support, absolutely, we all do, does that come in the form of a conservator? Or could her dad just support her as a father?
I think it's really shady that Vivian Thoreen came back and got involved in the conservatorship. She's, recently on a press tour, trying to mislead the public into accepting this conservatorship, into believing that, Jamie is in this for the right reasons. I think it's really gross for an attorney to be doing that. As an attorney, she really shouldn't be talking about an ongoing case like that. But it also just goes to show that she feels like the public needs to be on her side, on Jamie's side, when really the only opinion that should matter is Britney's, and she's not being heard right now.
I think it's interesting that Samuel Ingham, Britney's court-appointed attorney, who's also been asked to comment on these things, said he can't comment on an ongoing case. So the fact that Vivian is commenting is a bit of a tell.
Britney Spears seems to be responding to the new documentary Framing Britney Spears, which does a deep dive into the conservatorship she's still under.
Britney posted a clip of her performing Toxic on stage, which people think was a very pointed song choice, and she wrote this: "Can't believe this performance of Toxic is from 3 years ago. I'll always love being on stage, but I'm taking the time to learn and be a normal person. I love simply enjoying the basics of everyday life. Each person has their own story and their take on other people's story. We all have so many different, bright, beautiful lives. Remember, no matter what we think we know about a person's life, it is nothing compared to the actual person living behind the lens."
Britney's boyfriend Sam was much less cryptic on his Instagram yesterday. He wrote, "Now it's important for people to understand I have zero respect for someone trying to control our relationship and constantly throwing obstacles our way. In my opinion, Jamie Spears, that is a total I won't be going into details because I've always respected our privacy, but at the same time, I didn't come to this country to not be able to express my opinion and freedom."
I saw your Instagram story. I know you're upset with Jamie right now. Is there anything that he can do to repair the relationship? What would you like to be seen?
I'm not upset at anybody, but you know what? It is what I said is what I said. So I think he's that's just my opinion. But I'm not going to go into details. That's it, man.
Can you guys ever be on good terms?
I hope so. Once he starts treating his daughter right, then we can be on good terms.
Now, a lot of fans are concerned with Britney after seeing the Hulu doc.
Thank you to all the fans.
How's Britney doing? Is she okay?
She's doing amazing.
She's doing amazing.
I'm always having her back. Thank you very much.
Britney Spears was crying out for help. She was crying out in pain right there on television, right in the media, and no one did anything about it. They piled onto her.
This pop icon should not be under this conservatorship.
Her own blood took all her money away.
The governor's wife of Maryland said that she wanted to Britney.
When you watch this documentary and you see the things that she had to go through in the public eye, like in front of the entire world, and how everybody was consistently criticizing her.
There were numerous times watching this documentary where I audibly gasped at what Britney was subjected to.
Wife of the governor of Maryland, who appeared at an anti-violence rally, and well, listen to what she said.
Really, if I had an opportunity to Britney Spears, I think I would.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well,
That's really bad.
Because of the example for kids and how hard it is to be a parent.
Everyone just thought she was crazy, and I'll admit, I was one of them. I think the entire world owes her an apology.
People are calling for Diane Sawyer to apologize to Britney Spears.
I think Diane Sawyer does owe her an apology. I think the whole world owes her an apology.
Justin Timberlake is now apologizing to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson.
I don't think the interviews that you see on this documentary would even be allowed today.
Where's the team on her side to go, no?
Should have gone and said no.
We all saw that in real time and probably have a completely different lens on it today.
Given everything that Britney went through, it is a miracle that she is still alive today.
Since Framing Britney Spears aired, there's been a ton of attention on the Free Britney movement. As Britney fans, we were so invested in Britney's story. We were so familiar with all the details of them, and we loved her so much. Like, that was a given, and we couldn't understand why not more people cared. And I think what Framing Britney Spears was, it got everyone to care.
It's interesting to have seen the evolution of the media's perception of the movement, because it certainly started, these are just a bunch of crazy fans, these are Britney fans who are children who are just so obsessed and they want to see another tour and they want an album. They're conspiracy theorists, and just all of these insults were thrown at the movement. Something that has been really validating, I think, for the movement as a whole, for us fans who've been lifelong supporters of Britney Spears, to see that shift after the New York Times documentary premiered and the general public started to realize how poorly Britney was treated throughout her career, and to realize that maybe this conservatorship is unjust. For that to be taken seriously in the media, in the mainstream media, if I'm being honest, I'm still reeling from it. It still doesn't feel real, because us fans have spent so many years defending Britney for things as simple as outfits she wore or performances that she had. So to have people finally have some sympathy for Britney and care about her on a human level instead of just that pop star status, it feels really good.
Framing Britney Spears aired, we've really entered an era where people are a lot more self-aware of how they themselves may have treated Britney, or how the media treated Britney. But there was kind of this few days on Twitter where people were apologizing to Britney.
Fans are rallying around singer Britney Spears this week following the release of FX and Hulu's Framing Britney Spears documentary. The film focuses on issues ranging from Britney's conservatorship to the unfair treatment she's received from the media throughout her career. Specifically seen in the film is footage from a 2003 interview Britney did with Diane Sawyer when she was just 21 years old. In the interview, Diane seemingly blames Britney for her split with Justin Timberlake, accusing her of breaking his heart.
The way that people treated her, to be very high school about it, was like she was the school slut and he was the quarterback.
The surprise apology from Justin Timberlake overnight. It's part of the fallout from a newly released documentary on Timberlake's one-time girlfriend, Britney Spears. Timberlake is not only apologizing for his treatment of Spears, but also for what happened after his controversial 2004 Super Bowl halftime show.
We're talking about one of the most successful entertainers of all time. When things got hard, Justin Timberlake still saw his career skyrocket, but the women who went through the same public breakup, the same Super Bowl mishap, saw their careers stall. It is well over a decade later, but Timberlake is saying he is sorry for his part and that he failed.
Justin posted on Instagram,
I've seen the messages, tags, comments, and concerns, and I want to respond.
I am deeply sorry for the times in my life where my actions contributed to the problem.
Where I spoke out of turn or did not speak up for what was right.
I understand that I fell short in these moments and in many others, and benefited from a system that condones misogyny and racism.
I specifically want to apologize to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson, both individually, because I care for and respect these women.
and I know I failed. I also feel compelled to respond in part because everyone involved deserves better, and most of me, because this is a larger conversation that I wholeheartedly want to be a part of and grow from.
The industry is flawed. It sets men, especially white men, up for success.
It's designed this way. As a man in a privileged position, I have to be vocal about this.
Because of my ignorance, I didn't recognize it for all that it was while it was happening in my own life, but I do not want to ever benefit from others being pulled down again.
I have not been perfect in navigating all of this throughout my career. I know this apology is a first step and doesn't absolve the past. I want to take accountability for my own missteps in all of this, as well as be part of a world that uplifts and supports.
I care deeply about the well-being of the people I love and have loved. I can do better, and I will do better.
I think now, post framing Britney Spears, we're at a different type of launch pad. We're at the point where Free Britney isn't being waved off as a crazy conspiracy theory anymore necessarily. They're talking about her in a much different light, but also on a more daily household basis.
I am amazed at the heights that the movement has reached at this point, and to be quite honest, is very surreal. I think a lot of us agree that we're still very much in the thick of it. We're geared up for a battle to get Britney out of this. It hasn't fully hit me that we are in the mainstream media. We had a documentary on Hulu that has gone viral. If we look back on 2 years ago, or some of us 13 years ago who thought this was questionable, to see how far we've come, to see that the general public is paying attention, I still have to pinch myself because I spent so many years defending Britney, not, even prior to the conservatorship. As a Britney fan, you were subjected to ridicule, and we've always had to defend her. So to have people finally listening to us and empathizing a little with Britney, that's a huge first step towards the end goal of this movement, which is to free Britney entirely.
This is wrong. We see someone is going through something terrible, and we're not going to allow it. We're going to stand up, and we're going to make sure that she gets her freedom. Because maybe when we were young, she gave us our freedom.
There is no such thing as a temporary relinquishment of a conservatorship.
That could set a precedence for all the other conservatorship cases in the entire United States of America.
An article from the New Yorker alleging for the first time that the superstar called 911 to report alleged abuse the night before that dramatic court testimony.
The whole thing shocked me that she'd been forced to take
in my body right now that won't let me have a baby, and my conservators won't let me go to the doctor to take it out.
Free Britney!
To all of them.
The Framing Britney Spears documentary totally changed the momentum behind the movement. And we have people coming in near and far, dying for more information. What can I do to help? How can I get involved? What do you need from me? How can I support you? How can I support her? How can I support the rest of the world? And I've had people reach out, that I haven't spoken to in years that saw me in the documentary. I had teachers reach out on Facebook and find me and just say, I saw you in the documentary. What you're doing is amazing. Keep up the good work. And it's like, there was a time that I felt, so helpless and hopeless and sad, and what can I do to help? And, it's like you just want to go rescue her and bring her to your house and treat her right, like the human that she is. And this movement has given me so much satisfaction, and I went from feeling completely hopeless and helpless to hopeful and helpful and powerful. And I'm still shocked every day that my unspoken thoughts and feelings are now a reality and the whole world is getting involved.